Hey everyone, it's Nicola here. Teresa and I have had a bit of a long sabbatical from the channel. We apologize from that. We've had quite a lot going on in our world, in our business, in our retreat center here in Costa Rica, which we will tell you more and more about that as we go. But we are coming back into the fray, coming back into our channel at a very exciting time. And more on that later, but let's get into an in-depth look at where we're at with Bitcoin, right? What we need to look at here in the charts with this dump, bear flag, dump, what does that have to do with Friday, which is the 17th of June? Two things happening there on Friday, which we could see a significant pump, then dump. And we'll look at why, and then we will go into a little bit of the moon phases, astrology. For conscious crypto, we're usually incorporating spirituality, consciousness, astrology, numerology into classic technical analysis. Both Teresa and I have a long history of trading the stock market and Forex, and we've segued to bring that blend of mindset, classical technical analysis, as well as the spiritual side of it, to make it a good blend, and also to be able to predict dates well in advance that we need to look for pumps and dumps. So if that sounds interesting, you're excited about that, we would love for you to join our community by hitting the subscribe button, clicking the button that says like the video, and that helps us grow the channel, and it helps YouTube give you more of the videos that we're going to be uploading. So one more thing before we get into it, I do have a metaphysical crypto webinar coming up. Discover the 5 secrets to profitable crypto investing and trading so you can create passive income and fabulous wealth in the next bull run. All the details are below. You can click the link there, go over there, register for that, and we'll see you there. Now, let's look at where we're at with Bitcoin. I love just zooming right out and just taking a look at where we've come from and where we are. And in my humble opinion on Elliot wave theory, I believe we have actually put our final wave in. I know that there are some analysts that are saying we have not, but to me that looks like a wave 3, that is a wave 4, and then this is a wave 5, which means we've now looking at an impulse wave to the upside, because for me this looks very impulsive. It does not look corrective, and I know there are some analysts out there that are saying that this is a corrective, so this would be an A, B, C correction, which would make that a wave 4, that a wave 5, meaning we're going to come back down to 13,000. And I honestly can't see that. I mean, the timing is just all wrong for that to happen. So this is what I'm operating on as my primary view, but I'm not married to it. I am happy to be wrong, and I am happy to correct myself, but and I will when I see the evidence of it. Because to me, when I just zoom out without prejudice, we're looking at an Elliot wave count here, 1, 2. To me, that's a 3. That's a very clear wave 4. It's not a wave 2. And then that would be a wave 5, which means we've completed a 5-wave structure to the upside. And that means that we are now looking at creating a 5-wave structure to the downside. So this is my primary view of where we're going for Bitcoin. So I am also open to Bitcoin just going, stuff you, we're going to get bullish here and go down and go up from here. But let me just have a look at where this could possibly bring us down to. So we would be looking at creating a higher low, sitting at around 21,200. We could go down to 20,000. That's a very strong support level. And we could go down to 19,990. I do believe that there was a CME gap there that didn't quite get closed. We'll have a look at that later in another video. But right now, that is what my primary expectations are from an Elliot wave perspective. So we've got 2 days until we might have a repeat of this here. Boom, 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 right? That is a possibility. we're sitting right at a key, or just above a key support area there. So we may not go lower than 24,822. But this is what I wanted to show you to be aware of, because one of the things that we do on this channel is give you dates in advance as to where we may get pumps and dumps. And we've got two things happening on the exact same day on Friday, astrologically, that traditionally see a little bit of a dump. What am I talking about? Let me take these Elliot waves off so that you can see very clearly. I'm talking about the moon phases, which is an indicator you can get on TradingView. At the top, that's when we have a new moon. And at the bottom, it's when we have a full moon. Now, we've done quite a lot of videos on this before. If you want to go and have a look at, just go into the search bar and type in moon or moon phases or moon Bitcoin. But generally speaking, when we get a full moon, which we had a week ago, we get a little bit of a dump into the full moon, and then we get a pump, depending on whether the trend is bearish or bullish as to whether or not that pump is a big pump, or if we're going sideways. So it's not as black and white as pump and dump. And there are a lot of variables around the actual timing that it happens. And if this is something that's really interesting to you, you definitely want to come to our webinar, because I'm going to be diving deeper into that in the webinar tomorrow. And yes, it is recorded. So if you miss it, you can watch the recording. But generally speaking, when we get a full moon, we get a pump. Now, if I come back here and let's have a look at this and put this to the test. Here's a full moon, pump. Here's a full moon, pump. 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 You can go through most of these full moons and you will see a pump. Every now and then you just get a really minuscule pump, like right here. We didn't go up more than 2% before coming down, but that was because we are now in a downward trend. So the bottom line is a full moon often means that we're going to get some kind of price reaction to the upside, and then classical technical analysis is going to let us to know how high it's going to go, right? Now, new moons are the opposite. New moons, we usually do a bit of a dump, right? We had a big dump here, we've got a dump there, we've got a dump there, we dumped here. And once again, sometimes the dumps are huge, right? But in a bull market, sometimes the dumps aren't that big. Like this one here, this new moon was a blip in the radar and we just kept going up, came down, and then came back up again, right? So we didn't exactly get the dump on the day. We got the dump a couple of days later. So that can happen as well, because it depends on what else is going on. Normally speaking, if you have a lunar eclipse or if you have a special new moon, a super moon or what have you, you will start seeing price reaction before the actual time of the moon changing. So we have to watch out for that. And again, we're going to be teaching a bit of that in the webinar tomorrow. So why is this important? Why is this important? If I take off the moon phases here, where are we? Why is this important? Because on Friday we have a new moon, and a new moon we usually dump. However, like I said before, we're in this channel coming down, sitting right above key support. So the question is, are we going to get a big dump or a little dump, come back down, and then continue going up? In which case that Elliot wave count that I gave, where this was 5, was really a third wave, and this is the fourth wave, and now we're going to come up for a fifth wave. That's the big question, right? That's the big question. Now, we're going to complicate it a little bit by looking at what else is happening on the 17th of June. New moon, we usually pump into a new moon and dump out of it. And we also have Saturn retrograde. Now, take a look at this. Saturn retrograde in 2021, which is the very first time that Teresa and I did a video on how Saturn retrograde affects the market. This was when we were coming into a bull market, which is exactly where we're at right now, right? We are in a Saturn retrograde about to happen, coming into a bull market. The halving is next year. And then, we have that bull rally, all going well. So let's have a look at how price action behaved. we over here, Pluto went retrograde, Mercury went retrograde, and what this does is it affects human psychology according to astrologists in such a way that they behave a little bit differently than what they might do during times when it's not retrograde. So we know this price action is 100% human psychology. So we know that using astrology, we can have a look at human psychology and its cycles as well as time cycles to give us some hints as to what may be about to befall us, right? So in 2021, as we were going into the into the bull cycle, we had we called retrograde season, started with Mercury retrograde, then Pluto went retrograde, and we got a dump and we got a dump, then a rally, which is exactly what we've had, right? We've had a dump and a rally. And now Saturn retrograde, we had a pretty sizable dump right there, but we traded sideways for a while, came up, create higher lows, and it wasn't until September when Saturn went progressive that we actually started getting upward motion. Why is that? Saturn rules finance and business, and Saturn retrograde is all about retarded speed. So if you want to do anything quickly in business and in finance, often you find this psychology affecting human behavior holds you back a little bit, and it's all about laying good foundations so that you're not taking off without a good foundation under you, right? So that was 2021. Now let's have a look at 2022, which was the bear market. And by the way, I'm going to go into this in a much greater detail in tomorrow's video. I just want to show you right now that where we're at coming out last year out into the bear market. Saturn retrograde behaves slightly different, but similar. But because we're in a bear market, we're going down, right? So here we're coming into a bull market, which means the price is trending up. And what do we get? We got a dump sideways up. When we were in a bear market, we got a dump into Saturn retrograde and we kept dumping. Then we went sideways, and then we started turning up towards the end of the year, right? That was last year. This year, this was Saturn retrograde. We had already started dumping into it, and then we got a gnarly, nasty dump right there. And it just happened to come after, a few days after the new moon, because new moon we usually get a pump into it and then a dump out of it. So this last year, the new moon was before Saturn retrograde. So this year, they both come on the same day. So this Friday is going to be a really interesting, very interesting day. May even start happening on Tuesday, right? Because it's so powerful that those two things are happening on the same day. But as I look at this chart, quite honestly, while I feel like we're probably going to come back down to, maybe 21,000, 20,000 at some stage in the next 3 to 4 months, it's still feeling like really lovely and really bullish to me. And if it wasn't for Saturn retrograde and the new moon, I would say that we're probably just going to come back down, touch the support level, come back up and then break out above here. But I can't hold a primary position of a bullish scenario when I know that we've got those dates impending. So if that scenario was if the bullish scenario was going to play out, we literally need to get above 27,140 in order to break this pattern, come up, so that then once we hit the new moon, because remember we do usually rally into a new moon. If we break up above here, rally into new moon, then the Saturn retrograde new moon dump is probably just going to come back here, retest, and now we're going to go up from there, right? So what I'm encouraged by is this support line here and this support line here creates an ascending triangle, and ascending triangles are trend reversals. So it makes sense that at the bottom of the bear market, we have a pattern that is a trend reversal. The only problem with that is that we broke out a little too early, right? So usually when we break out early, we can often come back down, fall into the pattern and touch say 22,191, bounce off of that and then come back up and boom, the bull market is on. But because, remember I said Saturn retrograde is retarded speed, I'm not seeing that we're going to get this huge trajectory just yet. We'll probably get that post-halving, right? So for the rest of the year, we could see this nice sideways action posting in higher lows. And by 8th of August, I think it is, we're looking at, and I'll do a video on this one, we're looking at a golden cross potentially happening, which could really really give us a clue that the bottom is in. I'm leaning towards the fact that the bottom is in because this is an ascending triangle and we've had 3 touches. 1, 2, 3. So that's a legitimate resistance and support level. We've also had 3 touches here. 1, 2, 3. So this is a legitimate pattern, right? And now we're coming back up and we're retracing to regroup. So in terms of, you know, this whole impending of doomy event on Friday, we're either looking at a substantial dump, in which case I think we're more likely to come back and retest this support line here at around 22,000 plus, maybe 21,400, as I said before, if this is a, you know, 5-wave structure that's going to come down. Or it's going to be a little bit of a nothing burger and Bitcoin's going to surprise us and bounce somewhere around here and then break up to the upside. So is there anything else that we can use to help us decide in technical analysis? We've got the astrology that says this is more likely to dump, maybe even have a flash crash, boom, take a little bit of time to recover before we get back up and head on up and break this bullish trending channel. Right? What can we use? Well, and on this channel, we love using the ichimoku cloud. So we've got the astrology telling us be wary. Now we want to have a look at where we're at. And you can see the baseline of the ichimoku cloud red is on the top of the conversion line. We've got the lagging span in the price action. See this yellow line? It's actually in the price action. So it looks all very convoluted. And we're also in the green ichimoku cloud, which is usually flow. However, we've hit resistance. So there is a lot of resistance above us to break out, right? So that's on the daily. If you're intraday trading, then you are looking at I forgot to take my phone off my desk. Yeah, it's still bearish. Look at that. We've got we're under the ichimoku cloud, which means we've got more resistance above us. We've got the baseline above us, and that's that. This is looking like a bear flag that could turn into an inverse Bart Simpson, because remember, new moon, we usually find the local top, we pump into a new moon and we dump out of it. So before we get that big dump, we just may see that final pump up, right? And then retest this resistance level at around 27,000 or even 26,800, because we've got the support, 26,507. We've got a CME gap up there as well too, so I'll show you that in a minute. But what I'm looking for is a trend reversal signal, right? Have we gone down enough, or are we still going to go low? So what I'm doing is I'm just going through all of the time frames, and again, we're still bearish, right? The baseline is above, that's on the 1 hour. So what about the 15-minute? Yeah, see, this is crossing over as well. We had the conversion line at the top, blue. We had the baseline at the bottom, red, and it's just crossing to signify we do have bearish indications coming into the market. So that is leaning towards more of this, just up and down, up and down, up and down, and not seeing any divergences on the 1 hour. Didn't see any on the 15-minute. Yeah, and then 1 day. Yeah, so there's no signals here showing me that we are immediately going to be going up. And if we have a look at the indicators, then we've got the RSI is sitting at around 44. The money flow, whale money flow, is going up, so money is starting to come in. It's sitting at 44, so it's in the middle. The trend reversal, trend exhaustion rather, sitting in the middle. Ideally, if we want to see a pump, we want to see these indicators down the bottom, and when all of those line up, we might even get a buy signal. The link to these bundle pack for these indicators that I'm using, by the way, is in the description below, and you can see when we've got buy signals, very clear move up, and we got a strong sell signal. When you see the strong sell signals, that's usually a bigger move, but we don't have a buy signal showing up here or a sell signal, so everything's in neutral. And I think that's a reflection of the SEC attack. A lot of the whales are sitting on the sidelines, watching, just doing things very, very slowly, but watching what retail do, and retail's in fear. And you can see how there's a contraction here in this price action, and yeah, there's no buy signal here. We just had a sell signal there. So this is in my personal opinion, and this is not financial advice because I'm not a financial advisor, but I want you to hear this, take this in, look at your portfolio, and go do your own research to see if this is good for you, right? In this choppy market, I personally would not be doing leverage trading, because trades can just turn around on you like crazy. I would just be doing, spot trading, so that I'm mitigating my risk, because we are so close to the bottom of the market being called. And if we create a higher low in this next dump, that could be it. And then it's just nothing up from there. You don't want to lose your capital by getting chopped up in here by the washing machine. We're also in the middle of a channel, and you don't trade the middle of the channel. You short the top and you long the bottom, right? So this is a time to be really patient. And as I've said, we've got this impending event on the new moon on Friday. So either we find the top of the market and then start dumping over the weekend, or we continue pumping and then start dumping on Sunday. Or that it could happen a little earlier, but I'm not really seeing a lot of signs of a pump. I really do. I really want to break this, come up, and then the Saturn retrograde and the new moon dump would be a retest of this as resistance. So I'm just sitting on the sidelines waiting. Now, if this is all fascinating for you and you would really like that edge, you'd love that metaphysical, spiritual edge to know in advance, what could be happening in the stars and the moon, and as well as learn classical technical analysis, free webinar tomorrow, masterclass really, 2 hours where we're going to go down a lot deeper, and you can ask questions. Like, you can everything I've said today, we're going to go into deeper. You can get to ask questions. We're going to have community and conversation at the end of the presentation. So make sure that you go and register for that. Hopefully you can show up live so we can chat. If not, and then watch the replay. But we're looking at that. I'm going to monitor this over the next few days and start just looking really deeply into this price action, because normally when you start seeing price contract like that, and we've got a symmetrical triangle, which happens to be a bearish one because we've come into it from a bearish direction, and equally break up though, because patterns have been busted all over the place during a bear market, and there's confluence that this is going to take us down to 20, to the bottom here, 23,655 as it is. But if it's a slow bleed, right? If it's a slow bleed, then the longer it takes us to get down here to touch the lower that price is going to be. So let's monitor it. Let's get our our funds together, and get ready for some really powerful positions. And I know that what I'm looking at with my portfolio is I'm looking at where can I scale out of some of these coins as they come up and find their resistances, so that I can buy back in on the dip, because we do have compelling evidence that Saturn retrograde, we get these dumps, and new moon, Saturn retrograde here, because it falls on the same day as the new moon, even more powerful. And it could happen tomorrow. It could happen as early as tomorrow, and we'll see if that happens when we're on the masterclass. So that is it from me. I just wanted to say, hey, we're coming back. We're getting back. It's very exciting. And we've got we've got new branding, new logo, new video, a whole lot of waves of new types of videos that we're going to be putting out, as well as technical analysis, so that we can navigate these waters together. And hopefully you can join us if you like that. You love that whole spiritual approach. We'd definitely love for you to join. And of course, you know what to do. You just subscribe and hit the like button, because the more you tell YouTube that these are the type of videos that you like, then the more we're going to show up in your feed, so you don't miss out on those dates that we publish every month, so that you can be well prepared in advance. Thanks so much for listening all the way to the end, guys. I love you all, and we'll see you real soon.